So the first question we have today, we actually have 3 from him today, is BJ. So BJ's first question is, what do I need to know about which peanut butter to pick since I eat it like a death row inmate? All right, so there's a couple of things about peanut butter, BJ, that I want to point out here. So peanut butter, or peanuts in general, are not actually tree nuts. So tree nuts are part of that sentence that I tell you guys. In fact, we're going to talk about that sentence a little bit later because Sue asked a question about that, which we'll be getting to. But moral of the story here, BJ, is that we want to eat raw nuts and seeds, and by nuts we mean tree nuts. Peanuts are not nuts. Peanuts are actually legumes, which is a kind of bean, and they're actually a pretty starchy legume at that. So when you're eating peanut butter, yes, it is high in fat, but it also does have a starch component. It does elicit quite an insulin response, whereas if you're having more of a traditional nut butter, like an almond butter or even a cashew butter to a certain extent, you gotta watch cashew butter a little more than you watch almond butter, you'll be in much better shape in that regard. So if you want to stick with peanut butter, BJ, first I'd recommend you go organic. I always recommend you go organic. I don't care what you're eating or where you are. Yes, depending on what you're eating, certain guidelines will show that conventional versus organic, there really isn't much of a difference, but I always like to be better safe than sorry. When you're eating nuts and seeds and they're not organic, there's a chance that they were sprayed with herbicides and pesticides when they were being prepared. This is not something you really want to be ingesting, because while you're trying to do some good by eating a conceivably good quality type food, you might be unintentionally ingesting toxins at the same time. So I would recommend first, BJ, if you can, switch to a tree nut butter like almond butter. I would recommend almond butter first, and preferably, God, I can't speak today, an organic variety. But if you want to stick with peanut butter, go organic. And then just make sure, look at the ingredients, make sure there's nothing really added to it. So the best peanut butters or tree nut butters or any type of nut butter really is the ones that just says the only ingredient is organic blah blah blah, organic peanut butters or peanut butter, and that's it. And if that's the only ingredient, organic peanuts I should say, organic almonds, organic cashews. If that's the only ingredient, maybe with some sea salt, that's fine. If you start seeing added sugar, if you start seeing some processed chemicals, certain types of oils, then you probably want to stay away from it. A lot of those oils are vegetable oils or polyunsaturated fats, and as a group that I'm in, a paid group that we're reading a book right now called The Big Fat Surprise, talks about ad nauseum actually, but it's true. When you use a polyunsaturated fat, which is comprised in much of the processed foods that we ingest, it is heated during the processing of that particular foodstuff. And when that happens, it hydrogenates, the chemical composition changes, and it goes from being a polyunsaturated fat, which has not been linked to many nice things for the human body, to a trans fat, which is linked to even worse things for the human body. So you want to make sure that it's devoid of like palm oil or vegetable oils of any type. So I'd stay away from Skippy and Jif and all those very conventional beans of peanut butter. If you're going to have peanut butter, again, organic peanut butter, look at the ingredients, make sure that the only ingredients are organic peanuts, maybe some sea salt. You don't want added sugar, you don't want processed chemicals, and you don't want vegetable oils in the ingredient list. And again, if you can make the switch, BJ, I would definitely recommend you go from peanut butter to a more traditional nut butter. All right?